Hello and welcome to Only Stupid Answers. My name is Sam Basher.
I'm DJ Woldridge.
And today we're talking about Thundercats Roar! Now, we are fortunate enough to work with Warner Brothers to get early access to certain episodes.
Yes.
And wonderfully, in our inbox, we got a little notice that Thundercats Roar was thrown into there. And then we realized that on Cartoon Network's YouTube channel, they released the episodes.
Yeah.
So, we're late to the party or early to the party, however you want to look at it. We're going to be talking about the first episode, which is technically a two-parter stitched together, titled Exodus. DJ, can you hit us with that synopsis?
Fleeing the destruction of their home planet Thundera, Lion-O and the Thundercats land on the mysterious, dangerous, all-around awesome world of Third Earth.
So, recently this show was announced.
Yes.
Let's say over the past year or so. And it was met with a weird air of negativity from Thundercats fans.
Why?
Because
Why would that be?
They weren't sexualized feline people with the nipples out. Unless they're girls.
Yeah.
Then none
of that.
No, then you wear less clothes, but not nipples. Regardless, it wasn't horny enough for people, this children's show.
They want their horny cat.
I know we're going to get so many freaking negative comments about this. I'm going to make sure I try not to curse in this because it is a kid's show, if you happen to forget. So Cartoon Network leaned into it, and I'm going to say based off the popularity of like Teen Titans Go and other series that they've launched recently, and also the reception that they DreamWorks got with She-Ra and the upcoming He-Man series, that they're leaning more to making kid shows for kids.
Shocking.
Yeah, that's what they went with. Thundercats. So honestly, Thundercats means nothing to me.
Yeah.
It can't mean more to me at all. I have no stake in this at all. I know Snarf.
Yes.
And Lion-O.
In case you don't remember, there was also a character introduced later called Snarfer.
Is that what's different?
I think that's the thing with me when it comes to people freaking out about this not being like cool or edgy enough. It's like you got characters named like Lion-O and Vulture Man and Monkeyin and Mumm-ra. Like, it's for kids. They just did that cast announcement for Kevin Smith's like cool He-Man show, and it's a bunch of goofy like whatever. Listen, it's for these shows were for kids. Mm-hmm. This is just leaning into that to the shows that we now currently have for kids. I will say like, and maybe it'll get there if you're looking for something to like scratch that itch of like an Adventure Time or like a Steven Universe where it's like, it's fun, kid humor, but there's like deeper things going on there. In these first few episodes, that's not this. Yeah. They're just having fun.
Mm-hmm. And I had a lot of fun watching the show. And Burbles were hilarious. Yeah. And it's clear that the creators behind the show genuinely love what this property is, and they're telling it in a way where it's like, how do we get people on board with it really quick? We'll get through all the stuff, and then we'll build really fun characters based on what we know of them and create a new story. But based on everything that I've read, because we do research before we do our reviews, based on everything I've read of Thundercats, this is the first outing, minus a lot of the depressing stuff that happens in the original series.
We do get a moment of silence for Thundera. Mm-hmm. And then we move on.
And then we go ahead and move on with our lives. And they introduce the mutants, and we meet mumm-ra, which was very funny.
It's a funny joke, and also weirdly in this like heightened, lightened mood, one of the best versions of mumm-ra I've seen, because it's like he's just, growing up in the 80s or the early 90s, it's a lot of the same with Transformers and Ninja Turtles and Thundercats. You've got like the big bad that's that's kind of a joke because they get their butts handed to them every week, and it's like so you don't really take them seriously. But since this show doesn't take things seriously, like when the Thundercats land, like Mumm-ra's a big deal on Third Earth.
Mm-hmm. And when they land, they don't turn around and see that they destroyed the Burbles civilization. And it's like, our society's ruined because he's like, don't worry, we're fixed, everything's fine.
Using that the joke with the Burbles about just being so chill and kind of happy about everything and just seeking the littlest amount of praise for what they do.
What do they say when it's Mumm-ra's sitting on the Thundercats like hideout? And he's like
a throne. He's sitting on it like it's a throne.
He's like, this is pretty well constructed. And they like, what is it?
Indiscriminate praise.
Yeah, and they all just start like swarming him with love and affection.
The Burbles are by far, I don't know about you, but when I was watching, I'm like, okay, this is fine. And then the Burble showed up, and I'm like, this is funny.
Yeah,
like, this is really
and like
good.
candid. I don't think I'm going to be checking out too much more of this but I am going to be telling my nephews about this because this is way up their alley based on the shows they've shown me that they like. I'm like, well, then you guys should be watching Thundercats Roar. Yeah. And that's the point. That's okay. Like it's okay that the thing you like is now made for a different audience that they can enjoy it and discover it all over again.
Listen, we're all sorry that Robert Bill isn't as sexy as you wanted to be.
We're all
I just got the list of names in front of me. Groon the Destroyer.
And gang,
Groon was actually a thunder, like he was an evil Thundercat.
What I would say is just give it a shot if you were a fan of the Thundercats original series because they are using it all. Yeah, they are fully acknowledging it and the funny parts and the magic and the aliens and the mutants and every aspect of it that made a good solid toy line is being dumped into the show with a really it feels like a quick sketch of an animation style. I'm not an animation major, so I can't use the proper terms. But the way I view it is like it's like a hastily done fan art sketch, but it's done with a lot of care. And when it does get to the action, it's really cool.
Yeah, I think we've gotten into an age where we've learned that I think having animation like that's more simplified, I guess is a way to describe it, is better.
It's not like hyper realistic. It's more cartoony.
That's beneficial for action because you don't have to animate as much. It's like you don't have to do it like every pectoral muscle. You know what I mean? Like, so the action is fun and energetic. The character personalities are interesting and distinct, which is somebody from when I was a kid where you just would like pick up a random episode of Thundercats. You know what I mean? Like, out of any sort of order. The personalities kind of blended together. This one, all the personalities are clear and distinct. And Wily Kit and Wily Cat are not as annoying as they were in the original show. Yeah.
Neither is Snarf.
Neither is Snarf.
He is a new take as far as what I've looked up. He is very much an original thing for this show, and it's great.
Do you have an early contender for favorite character?
Panthro. Mainly because Chris J. Alex, had to look up the voice actor's name, does an amazing job. And it's just, he's cool. Like, he's actually, out of everybody, he's the cool one. He's the tech guy. He's fixing this ship and
super strong,
and his like big gauntlet nunchuck things.
Yeah,
cool. That might be an amalgamation of different versions of his abilities in other shows. One of the best parts is like Snarf throws up a gauntlet that
was my favorite. Yeah.
He's like, oh, it's like a hairball thing. Wonder what that. He pulls him up, and then you're good to go. Which obviously had to have been a weapon from something else, and like they're just
the gauntlet the gauntlet of moments is like a classic from the animated series. And he's just introduced very irreverently here.
Yeah, and like that's the big thing about this is the irreverence of like the goofiness of what this comes from, but they are using it to tell good stories.
Yeah,
they are aimed for a younger audience because they're silly, and this show is so silly, but the writing
the original Thundercats,
which is not silly.
There's not a silly thing about it. Don't you dare laugh.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare laugh. All the people who gave it a 1.7 out of 10 on IMDb, the 319 of you.
319. That's a pretty strong showing for the original Thundercats right there. Anyway,
I don't want to like dunk on you guys too much. But like, come on, guys, it's a good show. Like,
be open to it, especially if you have children and you enjoy the original Thundercats. I think this is a good way for them to access it. And I honestly think it's a smart like, again, it's like your main characters are like Lion-O and Tiger, and it's like, this is for kids, and it should be for kids.
It was a fun reveal for me that Lion-O is how you pronounce the name, and it wasn't
Lion-O,
not Lion-L, like Jor-El. No. Like a cool thing, like Rin's dad.
Yeah,
Don't get into the nitty gritty of me comparing. The comic books are way cooler
than this silly 80s cartoon meant to sell toys.
I'm well aware of the things I like being silly too, but I've never gone on the internet and screamed at people because they wanted to tell it a different way.
By the way, if you stick with the show, which I do recommend, the following episodes are fun and entertaining. There are nods to other classic 80s cartoons, which is cool. There's nods to iconic or barely remembered versions of Thundercats enemies, and I do get hints that maybe as we get old, as the show goes on, it might dive more into the mythology of those shows. But in this early going, it's just meant to have fun, let everybody have fun. Maybe teach a kid a lesson or two, but kind of like SpongeBob, it's not going to get too hung up on that. You know what I mean? It's mostly just to have fun.
And a very good joke of thunder, and you just make it bigger.
Yeah, because that's basically what happened. Yeah, like They're just having fun with it, and I think if you let yourself, you'll have fun with it as well.
And in a vein of other Cartoon Network properties, when it comes to like Steven Universe, that show is praised out the wazoo by all fans. I've now recently watched it, but I watched the first. That's a chunky one to get through. It is a very much a kid's show in the beginning, and it's like he uses his magic gem powers when he eats cat-shaped ice cream sandwiches, and he like screams "hooray!" And it's like, woof, gang. This is very much kid-centric. But then it evolved into a really deep look at like LGBTQ's that community and showing it to younger audiences in a really cool way that I've never seen before, that I wish I watched as a kid. And so far, like if Thundercats Roar was on when I was a kid, I would have watched the crap out of this show because I love SpongeBob. Ooh, I love SpongeBob.
Yeah.
So if you're a younger person watching this, please go watch Thundercats Roar. Sorry if we curse during this review. Try not to. And if
don't do that.
And if you're mad about it, that's fine. Just whatever.
Go back and watch the original Thundercats. I'm sure that it holds up great.
Or if you want to feel good, you could watch Thundercats Roar because it made me feel good watching it. Like, and if I happen to catch another episode in the future, I would not be mad. If I was on an airplane and that was on, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna watch that. But as Independence Day 2 or that, the Thundercats.
Yeah.
I watched that recently on a plane and
Independence Day 2.
Woof. That
should get a fun cartoon reboot.
Yeah, like it's like aliens, they're playing Blue Up, they're coming here, and like Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum, they play around and they do like backflips, and they hack their way into the alien mothership.
Yeah.
But that's the first episode. Then you got to get them teaming up, moving forward.
Absolutely.
Thank God. I can't wait, and neither should you. We should demand it from Cartoon Network ASAP. You know what? Is it worth rating this episode?
Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah, like obviously it's going to be different. You're comparing it for what it is and what it's trying to do. Honestly, for what it's trying to do, I would give these first couple episodes like an 8. Like a nice, like, it's fun. It's not doing anything deeper. Like I think about, but then you bring up how Steven Universe progressed. Like, am I comparing this to like Adventure Time's early episodes or like how it evolved as a show?
I've never watched all of Adventure Time, and those first couple episodes after people's recommendation, I'd be like, this is for kids.
Yeah.
So
and it really became, and not that it's not for kids, not that Steven Universe is not for kids, but there's a little something for everybody in there, and I think there's room for Thundercats to do that. It's just not there yet. But as far as like a fun kids cartoon with like entertaining humor, the Burbles, man, the Burbles kicked that to 8. Like if the Burbles weren't there, we'd be having a different conversation because it's still fun. But like the Burbles are so funny.
It's a very good job. I really enjoyed them, and I enjoyed watching this episode, so I'd give it like 8.8. There's a fun one. There's a fun score. Yeah. Super fun, like the show. So if you enjoyed it, check it out. Watch the rest of the show. Cartoon Network's putting out it, and also it's just a really creative take on the character. I know they have similar shows in this vein in terms of style, both animation wise and writing wise, in the voice cast. But it's just a good time. And so if you want to have a good time, check it out.
And I would also argue for people that are on the fence about letting something just exist, that Ninja Turtles every few years gets it's a full overhaul, full animated overhaul. In the early 2000s, there was a more trendy animated adaptation. Then there was the CGI one. Both of those are very solid. Then there's the most recent version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles where the designs are significantly different. I haven't had a chance to check that one out.
But I did watch some animation from it, and it was very cool.
But the point is, that keeps it, each generation of kids then has their own version of Ninja Turtles, which keeps them part of the pop culture conversation and keeps that brand alive and vibrant and gives you the comics that we have now and stuff like that. So if Thundercats was able to, because Thundercats just vanishes. It just completely disappears in between these. You know what I mean? So if you're a fan, I would support this because it allows, if another generation of kids gets to fall in love with this version of Thundercats, maybe looks at older versions, this allows that to be a continuing thing that you can look forward to in the future. And if you don't like this one, maybe 5 to 10 years from now, you'll get another one that might be more your speed. Mm-hmm. It keeps it as part of the cultural conversation, which I would say, if you're a fan, means it's positive.
That's a great point. And support it if you enjoy this genre. And supporting it could also mean just introducing it to your nephews, nieces, kids, or whatever, and something that you could watch together, and you wouldn't hate yourself while you watched it because it is pretty entertaining. But that being said, check it out. Enjoy it. If you didn't enjoy it, that's okay too. You still got the old one, and you still got the action figures. You can act out, and then you're the writer. Then you get to do whatever you want.
Exactly.
So please check it out, enjoy, like, subscribe, do all the good stuff, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.